even though we lost two, the pitching was very, very good
Right.
from LSU. So our pitching is coming on, but we haven't done well offensively for 3 weeks. Trey Hodges was the leader for us. I knew Trey Hodges was an outstanding pitcher. He started the year in our first series against the University of Florida. Even though, we were able to come out on top, he didn't pitch well. He went in the College World Series against Stanford in the Super Game and did a great job, to get us the championship. If Hyacin pitches well this weekend, that would be an example of what I call graduating, which meant that you went to a higher level.
Hello, welcome to the first installment of the On Base with Skip Bertman podcast. I'm Glenn Gilbo, editor of Tiger Rag Magazine, and with Todd Horn, executive editor of Tiger Rag Magazine, and we're excited to have as our featured guest and the name of the podcast, former LSU coach, Skip Bertman. Skip, how are you?
I'm good, Glenn. How are you? Todd?
Great, man. We're getting ready for a super regional type atmosphere this weekend when number 2 Arkansas comes into town to play number 3 or 5, 6 LSU's various rankings in a huge series for LSU's top 8 regional seed, national seed host spot. If LSU can win 2, they'll probably get that site. But Arkansas's got some great pitch and Skip. Their left-hander Zach Root is 6-3. Their right-hander Gage Wood is very good. They got another left-hander, Landon Beidelsheis, and that's about it for their lefties, though. But what do you think of this series for the Tigers? They've been in kind of a slump offensively lately. What do you see out of the Tigers going into this series?
Well, I agree with you that they haven't swung the bats as well as the 9 guys in the lineup could. We've been down a little offensively. On the other hand, being down at this time leaves a possibility for being on a run late in the season when it counts even more. So LSU can do it. Maybe they can start this weekend. But like you said, the Arkansas pitching is top-notch. They're an outstanding team. However, last week, even though we lost 2, the pitching was very, very good.
Right.
From LSU. So our pitching is coming on, but we haven't done well offensively for 3 weeks.
Skip, I want to dive deep into the pitching in just a second. But before we do that, is there anything from a coaching perspective that you have identified or talked with Jay about? Because I know you talk with Jay on a regular basis, that you guys see or have identified with LSU's current hitting slump per se?
Well, yeah, Jimmy and I do talk a lot. No, I can't give you anything specific regarding that. My belief, okay, not Jay, but my belief is that teams go up and down through a long baseball season. The pitching goes up and down. The hitting goes up and down. And in that case, it's who is hot at regional time. maybe SEC tournament time. Certainly the last playoff of the game, like South Carolina for us. And I'm looking for our Tigers to show me that, like they had in the beginning of the season, in the middle. They were outstanding offensively. Ranked high in the country in runs scored. And now, we're just not scoring as many runs.
Talking with Skip Bertman on the On Base with Skip Bertman podcast here at Tiger Rag. Skip, what do you remember about the 2000 team, the way they started hitting as the postseason started? I remember writing about you that year. Y'all couldn't win the Sunday game in the regular season. Y'all, I don't think y'all swept the team that year. But then late in the season, at the SEC tournament in Hoover, you didn't lose a game the entire postseason. Right. Through the SEC tournament, you swept UCLA at home in the Super Regional, and you won all your regional games, and then you didn't lose a game in Omaha. What do you remember as kind of turning the key that year?
Well, I think that's pretty much what I was talking about. We had a great team, but we did get hot around the tournament time. Trey Hodges was the leader for us. We were behind Alabama, and he went into pitch, and all of a sudden he held them, and of course we scored some runs, and I think that was a big turning point for us. Like you said, we went on to win, and then of course in the regionals and in the super regionals, we had Hunter Gomez and, Ben Saxon and some other really outstanding pitchers. And they just threw so well at the end. And, of course, Trey Hodges was the most valuable player in the series, signed and went on to pitch in the big leagues for a short time. But let me say this. I knew Trey Hodges was an outstanding pitcher. He started the year in our first series against the University of Florida. Even though, we were able to come out on top, he didn't pitch well. But the difference between him not pitching well and other guys is he had a sore arm, surgically repaired, and he just wasn't ready. But I knew that he'd be a great one, and I just waited for him. And, of course, he threw a lot of games, and I remember he had a high batting average against him.
Sure.
Early on, and, of course, the arm got into greater shape, and like you said, it showed off unbelievably in the SEC in our series
against Alabama.
Yeah. However, as we went on from there, he was terrific, and anytime you put him in, and he went in the College World Series against Stanford in the Super game, and did a great job, to get us the championship.
Four innings pitched, got the win. He gave up 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Skip, when you would call Trey Hodges Trey Rutledge, who was a pitcher you had earlier, did you do that to motivate him? Did you do it by accident sometimes and on purpose sometimes?
Well, first of all, let me tell you this, boys. This 2 weekends ago, I was signing books.
I was there.
Baseball book in front of the stadium.
Right.
And Trey Rutledge,
yes,
who was on the first team I ever had at LSU, actually showed up.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Years and years. Well, anyway, yes, I called Trey Hodges Trey Rutledge a lot, but it wasn't so much a motivating factor as it was the habit of learning Trey Rutledge's name when I was just starting out, and I was memorizing all the names. Yeah, that's true. That happened. On the other hand, Trey handled that well, as he did everything else.
Well, Skip, the thing about graduating pitchers, you never really seemed to, you never really knew, you knew that it might happen or would happen with Trey, but you never really know for sure
No.
when it's actually going to happen. That's interesting. What players, pitchers at LSU right now do you see getting close to graduating, kind of on the cusp?
At LSU right now,
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what. Number one is Cade Anderson is really a superstar and will be a high draft pick, and of course has pitched well, win or lose. Then of course Iacon, Anthony pitched the best game of the year, not just for him but for anybody, and with 3 hits, 1 walk, and 14 strikeouts in 9 innings, and he was masterful. What a game! On the other hand, if Trey pitched like that again, okay, this weekend, even though that's very difficult to have.
You mean Anthony? You mean if Anthony Iacon pitches that way again this weekend, right?
Yeah. Anthony Iacon pitches well, that would be an example of what I called graduating, which meant that you went to a higher level. And it was pretty obvious. I didn't just use it for pitchers, but for all players.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the graduation term that was used was a great one for the players. In other words, they knew that when I said they graduated, that they were in a new spot.
They were in the zone. They were in the skip zone.
The skip zone, that's right.
Hey, Skip, you got to go break away from the book signing 2 weeks ago and go to the 2000 reunion there that was in the Hall of Fame room there at Alex Box. What was that like? Trey was not there. He was in Italy. But
right.
What was it like visiting some of those guys? How did that go?
Well, wonderful. I went out and saw everybody on the field, and I must say to you that all baseball players are invited, even though 2000.
Oh, that's right. Cool.
Yes, series was featured, and I had a wonderful time because I saw, 25 or 30 guys, and it was just wonderful for me, to be able to see that many guys and have a memory attached to every guy. And it was fun. 2000 and all the other players was great reunion. And I thank LSU and the L Club, for putting it on.
The chapter in the Skip Bertman book, Everything Matters in Baseball, is called A Fistful of Titles. That's about the 2000 National Championship team, and you can get that book at acadianbooks.com, amazon.com. It's going to be also for sale at Alex Box Stadium at Skip's statue this Saturday beginning at 3:30 p.m. Skip's going to be signing for 2 hours and maybe a little change with the first pitch at 5:30 p.m. You can bring a book you already have or purchase one at acadianhouse.com or amazon.com. Now, Skip, you have a cool way of signing the books at these signings. A lot of guys could just stamp their autograph or mass sign, but you like to get to know the person you're signing the book for, get their name, ask them who it's dedicated to, just very professional. Why do you enjoy doing that?
I enjoy the people that come out. Now, many of them, as I met them on the Tennessee signing and other times, were there from the very beginning. I'm talking about 40 years ago. And they can remember, show me pictures of when they were in my camp when
That's
they
right.
were 8 or 9 years old. I really get excited about that. I am excited also about people who really love LSU baseball. And I don't mean to say anything bad about any other sport, of course, because we're great. But LSU has been so consistent for their fans through the years. It's always about just a few games away from Omaha. It's always about just about getting there or getting there and so on. I just appreciate the people that wait in line and get the book signed. And in doing that, I want to sign it for the lady who's there getting a book for her father. And I want to say, you're the best dad ever, and so on. Yeah, I like to personalize all the signings.
Cool. All right. Well, fans, come out 3:30 Saturday, and Skip will be signing books. And Skip, want to thank you for joining the first On Base with Skip Bertman podcast here at Tiger Rag. But we can't let you go until you give us a prediction on this series with Arkansas. You think they're going to sweep? Take two? Take one? What do you think, Skip?
Well, I think they can take two. Sweeping is tough, no matter where, no matter who, no matter what. But I think they can get to two. The one thing we do have is the home field. We had 13,000 against Tennessee in one of the games, and of course 12,000 in the other two. That makes a big difference. Just the number of people and the noise that they produce, of course. We play, 90% ball at home, which is just incredible. So it's just a question of getting the hit at the right time or getting a double play to pitch out of an inning. I think it's that close with Arkansas. They're great, but so are we.
Right,
and
right.
Wonderful series.
Yeah, and Skip, for as much as you won at LSU, 5 national championships, and you said it should have been 8, but you gave a lot of credit to the fans for some of those, for getting to Omaha, like when you beat USC in 1990, that first regional, and the '93 team. You said the home crowd really helped that. So.
Boy.
And when you swept UCLA, they were totally intimidated by your crowd in 2000, and that was the largest crowd at the time. This year, they had the largest crowd at Tennessee. They're probably going to have the largest crowd ever at Arkansas. So you think that could definitely push them over the top?
Oh, absolutely. Remember, the largest crowd for us in the old Alec Box Stadium was about 6,000, maybe a little over 6,000. But that stadium, being built in 1938, was very, very close to the foul lines. Like, they wouldn't do that today. And our backstop was only 56 feet instead of 60 feet. And the people were
right
really
on you.
Close
Yeah.
to you. And the noise that they produced, they stood for 9 innings. They screamed and shouted. It was hard to hear in the dugout. And I was so excited about that, that the fans were, I really credit the fans. They've done a tremendous amount at the beginning for LSU.
Yeah, and Rich Cordani, one of your great players, hit the big home run in the '90 regional to beat USC. He's from near Boston, and he said it was loud like Fenway Park, because Fenway Park, those foul lines, everything's real close. There's a whole chapter on that USC regional with Brett Boone, and that was just an awesome regional. So, all right, we'll come out and see it, fans, and Skip will be there Saturday at 3:30 selling books. Series starts Friday night, runs through Sunday. Well, Skip Bertman, thanks a lot for joining us on the first On Base with Skip Bertman podcast here with Tiger Rag, and we'll see you this weekend.
All right, Glenn, Todd, thank you very much.
Welcome back to the On Base with Skip Bertman podcast, and now we're joined by the most outstanding player of the 2000 World Series, pitcher Trey Hodges. Trey, how are you?
Hey, Glenn, doing great. Thanks for having me.
I thought his name was Rutledge.
Skip just was telling us how he used to call you Trey Rutledge. What do you remember about that, Trey Hodges? And what did you think the first time you heard him call you that? Trey Rutledge, of course, former pitcher in the early years under Skip at LSU.
Yeah, no, Skip. I believe my junior year, I was a junior college transfer, and relatively speaking, I guess expected to be a big part of the team. And, Skip was really good about, not allowing, anyone to be bigger than the team, and so I think part of that was calling guys by, a different name. And for me, fortunately or unfortunately, there was a player about a decade prior that had the same first name. So I was, given the name of Trey Rutledge for about 2 years of my career there.
So is it true that in the actual College World Series final against Stanford, when he called your name to go into the game, he called you Rutledge then too?
Now, did he admit to that?
I don't know. I'm trying to get the story straight, and I don't
right.
remember.
Because I was curious because, yes, championship games on the line. I mean, basically I came to LSU to win a championship. So back in that day, there was no NIL or I don't like what's happening here. I'm going to bounce around the 5 different schools. I mean, I went to LSU and was fully committed, and my only purpose to come to LSU was to win a championship. And so the biggest moment of my career, and probably one of the, I would say probably one of the bigger moments in Skip's career, he looks at me and calls me the wrong name probably on purpose. And I'm thinking, I really, looking back at that moment, Skip was so forward thinking and so tactical with everything that he did, which really separated him from the vast majority of coaches at any level. But looking back, I think the brilliance of him doing that, because I guess what it did for me in the moment was, he called me the wrong name, and I, under my breath, looked at him and said, probably something back to him, instead of being concerned, right, about, oh my God, I'm about to go in and the game's on the line, and this is it right here, right? So I think, again, what a brilliant move by him to know what buttons to push with certain people.
So it's kind of like he Jedi mind screwed you a little bit there, then took your mind off of the big task at hand that you had right before you.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm a kind of, to give an analogy, I kind of saw myself as a Michael J. Fox guy from Back to the Future. I can't remember the guy's name, but
Marty.
But anyway,
Marty.
Yeah, Marty McFly.
Marty McFly.
I was also the kind of guy that, if and Skip would do this for me too. He would basically challenge me by saying, "Well, you see Rutledge, he can't throw a changeup." And so I would go, "Oh yeah," and to myself, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, you think I can't throw a changeup?" So then he would inspire me to prove him wrong, right? So again, just so brilliant and knowing what to say and how to say and when to say it to guys.
Yeah, and the way you explain that, it reminded me of the chapter in the book now, because that's exactly what happened. He did call you Rutledge in the book, and you said the same thing in the book that you just said, that it kind of took the pressure off of you for a moment. But that's amazing. And you Trey Hodges, you were dealing with something else that day. You had a sore arm because you had pitched just 2 days before to get the save against Florida State. You were in for 2/3 of an inning in the ninth, and you pitched also, 3 days before that, you threw 6 innings against Southern California, 4 hits, 3 strikeouts. So then you come in for the third time in like just a matter of about a week. You were taking Advil. Just what was that like? And were you surprised at all that Skip went with you in that championship game because of the use of your arm prior, or did you already know? Did he tell you to be ready?
Well, yeah, Skip, a little bit different era of baseball, back then, and the way Skip did the lineup, at least with the pitching, he'd have a starting pitcher first up, so first up meant could be the first inning, could be the ninth inning, but basically you're the first guy that the team's going to go to because usually it's a critical moment. And I think he might even had, the closer, scheduled. So certainly, believed that, I could have received the ball and willing to do anything and everything I could do to help the team as well. And yeah, just a little bit sore, a little tired, it put a couple. The outing against USC was essentially a start. Ben Saxon had gone out and was pitching essentially the game of his life, and then got a blister on his finger, and so I was kind of thrust into that situation a lot quicker than anyone expected. But yeah, so obviously you're going to have a little fatigue, a little soreness, and thankfully, just looking back at that game, thankfully my defense, Blair Barbier in particular, and Brad Hopp with the scoop at first, saved me in that first inning when I came into the game. I wasn't quite sharp yet. I wasn't quite loose yet. Wasn't quite in the groove yet. And they made, both of them combined, made a phenomenal play on a ground ball down the line. And it allowed me to kind of catch my sea legs. And then, once you kind of get the blood flowing enough and the Advil's kicked in, you're kind of you're at full staff at that point.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and God, Ben Saxon, what a guy he was. He was the comedian on that team. And you mentioned Blair Barbier's play. I mean, he played second base. That was his first year playing third, and then when he was in minor league baseball, they tried to make him a catcher. But boy, he could play third when it counted. Now, Trey, Skip just talked a lot about graduating pitchers, and also a lot in the book is you discuss your game at Alabama, which is when you graduated. What do you remember about that series?
Yeah, again, going back, I was a junior college guy, came in as a junior, pitched really well coming in that fall, and then season started with an injury, torn bicep tendon. So, had the surgery, rehabbed, and kind of fought my way back into a useful position my senior year. And, anytime you're coming back from a major surgery, you're going to have some ups and downs, and it just takes time, to kind of get back to, you might be, I guess, medically healthy, but, being, I guess, 100% back to, that level of performance is a different thing. And yeah, that SEC tournament, we were playing Alabama. I mean, it was just, anyone that pitched got hit. I mean, I think the score was like 12-13 when I came in. And for whatever reason, that was the day, it just clicked, and I could feel it. It's one of those things as an athlete, it. And that day I knew it. I knew that I was back 100%, and it's hard to fake that, right? I mean, when you feel it, it, and then you start, you start executing off of that, and then it's all downhill from there. So, yeah, and you think about when that happened. That happened right before the regionals and whatnot, and up until that point, I'd pitched okay, but I hadn't got back to that full 100% performance level. And so what perfect timing to get back to that moment right before the regionals.
Speaking of perfect timing, Trey, LSU goes into this weekend, huge series against Arkansas. They really got to win 2 to kind of secure their top 8 seed. What do you think of LSU's pitching this or let me just ask you, what do you think of LSU's chances against Arkansas in this series?
Well, this day and age, again, it's a different era. And with NIL, the SEC is just an absolute – not that it wasn't hard back when we were there, but I would say it's even more difficult now. It's just a bloodbath of talent. And so the reality is anyone can win on any day. And, that has never been more true than now. And so the line between a team getting swept and a team winning 2 out of 3 is so fractional that so it's like, well, what's going to happen? I don't know. The reality is you got 2 really good teams. Arkansas is coming off of a sweep against Texas, so they look to be playing really well. LSU just lost 2 out of 3 in A&M to a team that, really wasn't at the top of the leaderboard, but certainly a good team and a tough place to play. So, look, LSU is just going to, as I always say, the team that does the little things right in the biggest moments is the team that wins. So that's LSU's got to get back to the basics and make sure they do all the little things right.
Now, Trey, you've been to the new box. The noise level, how does it compare to the box you played in, and how much do you think the crowd will impact LSU this weekend?
Well, probably the biggest game that I've been at in the new box was when LSU played UL on a Saturday night, I believe. That was probably, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, somewhere in there. And that was the regional
yeah.
game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had a fight and everything.
In fact, I was there to watch Wyatt Marks, who I had actually, helped a little bit,
right,
mechanically. And so I remember telling my wife, I was like, "Oh my God, like I don't even I'm almost like scared for Wyatt." It was so ravenous.
Wow.
The crowd was so energetic, and I remember the old box. What I think made, in a way, I guess, our perception of the old box being, in a way, better or noisier, was it was so modest, and then you just had this overwhelming crowd.
Sure.
And in a way, I think now with this bigger, beautiful stadium, you probably have even a better crowd noise because obviously you got more people, but it might not have the same effect because before it was like, people sitting in lawn chairs and standing on a fence post and just crazy people everywhere. Where now maybe the crowd's a little bit more, a little bit more professional, so to say, because of the field. It's a little bit nicer and better. But I do remember that UL game and thinking, holy cow, this is what an overwhelming moment for this kid and his family.
Wow, cool. Well, Trey, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your World Series in 2000. And thanks for joining us. Continued success in financial management and Lafayette, and hope to see you at the box soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us on the first installment of the On Base with Skip Bertman podcast. See you next time.